it's Linda, and today is July 5th, 2022. I just came back into my craft room to go over a few of the things that I've been doing the last few days. I'm going to close this. There we go. Well, it doesn't quite close. Anyway, I bought a new mic. I'm not sure if you can see, but it is a wireless microphone. I used to have the corded one with my jack, and I kept knocking over my tripod, so we are testing this out today. And I really like it. I can move around in my craft room while I'm here talking to you and not have to worry too much about what's going on the table in front of me. Hope my glasses aren't too bright. The light seems like it's glaring. But I wanted to just go through a few of the projects that I'm planning to work on this next month or so, and just kind of share with you what's been happening with my wipgo. I mean, I really do enjoy it. This is really my second year doing it with Jessie Marie. I've enjoyed just getting it all on paper, what projects I do have. But what I've found the last couple months, I mean, I've made all my goals the last 6 months, which is a plus for me, because I wasn't sure how the year was going to go with my new grandbaby, but the goals that I set for myself I've been able to accomplish, and I like knowing that I've got something to pull out each month. But over, I guess it was during May, I just kind of seen my supply and knowing that I can't actually just buy all the time, wanted to use what I had. So I took a lot of my flosses and my overdyes and looked through my patterns and did what I called Kit Mania. So that was very helpful to me so that I could just see all that I currently have. And I mean, most people want to use what they have instead of just having it sit around and not get used. So that was my plan. And the more I thought about it, I thought, okay, well, we're getting ready to move hopefully in a year or so, and I don't want any of this stuff going to waste. So that's kind of what the last couple months has shown me, that the things that are on my wipgo board currently might change in August. I'm going to rethink and only stitch the things that I'm going to use or give away as gifts. Some of the things that I started, I'm finding, especially now with the sinus surgery that I've had, the strain on my eyes that I experience, I tend to always go and lean towards the lower counts, 14 to 18 count. I mean, I love some of the 40 counts, and I started them because of the size that they're going to be. I didn't want huge things on my walls. But, I mean, it just depends on the person. But me personally, I kind of look at those kind of things when I kit something up and say, okay. But then, like I said, the last couple months I've just really struggled with some of the higher ones. The ones I've started and gotten a little ways on, I will complete those. It's just going to probably take me a little longer than the 14s and 18 counts. But coming up in the next month anyway, I wanted to share some of those things that I'll be pulling out again. Besides my wipgos that I shared in my last Flosstube. This is Flosstube number, what did I say, 9? I put my book somewhere and I don't know where I put it. But yeah, I think this is Flosstube number 9 on July 5th, 2022. I was here about a week ago, so scratch the every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks. It just depends on when I feel like recording. So today I just wanted to share a few of the things that I'm going to pull back out that I've actually kept on their frames because, I mean, they touched me, and I've started them and feel good about how I'm stitching on them, so I'm going to keep going. This is a Slava Ukrani pattern. It is not there. Where did I put the bag? not all together here. I'm going to stuck it back in here. Well, oh, it fell on the floor. Here, I'll get it. That's what that noise was earlier. I put it in a little sunflower bag because with the Ukraine's flag, I guess there's sunflowers in it. It is a Long Dog Samplers that Marie from Cup of Stitches started a hashtag. I think it was, or just a sal. It wasn't a hashtag. It just hashtag Slava Ukrani, I guess, is where you'd find it if you looked on IG. But like I said, Long Dog Samplers. I'm doing it on an Ada, and it's a 16 count, so it's easy to see. I mean, I still use my magnifier clip-ons, but I seem to be able to get more done on the lower counts. So I'm going to come up close here. I'm going to step out of the way so make sure that it's showing. See how close I can get. There, that might be good. So yeah, I've started, let's see, it's hard when you're looking in the camera. I've finished up over here. I've started the borders down here with the golds and the blues. And this is one of their birds. I haven't decided if I'm actually going to put the words or not. Most likely will, because I started it when that all happened in the Ukraine, so as a remembrance piece, I most likely will put that. I'm not quite sure about the rabbits though. Maybe change those to some flowers. But the birds are okay, and the flowers, of course. And then the colors that I'm using are Krienks. And there's only 5 colors in this one, so I can share those. I apologize for my voice. I had my surgery last week, so I'm still recovering and not sure how long it's going to take. Maybe a couple weeks before I sound normal again. Actually, oh, here they are. They're staring me right in the face. But I use 5 different Krienk colors as I drop things. This is where things are going today. Anyway, just some bright colors that reminded me of their flags. The bright blues and the golds for the sunflowers. There's a green. I hope it's not too bright what you're seeing. I'm going to go this way. There we go. That looks much better. And it's on kind of a, like I said, a beautiful beige fabric. And I just thought the colors really popped. So that's kind of what I'm doing. With that, I'm going to pull this up. And now that the holiday's over with, I can, and my mom's visit's over, I can take my stitching things back into the living room where I like to sit and stitch. So that's the plan for that one. The other one that I have been working on, oh, and it's wonderful. You find things in bags that you've been wondering where you put them. I found my Ganger scissors. I need to sit this as well as my floss winder. These are a couple of the tools that I really do use a lot, so they need to be next to my chair as well. But the pattern that I was talking about is Janette Douglas. And if you watch, oh, I can't think of her Flosstube, but I'll link it below. Her name is Hillary. She started a hashtag called, oops, she started a hashtag called Stitch Kit Pass. So I asked her, or told her I'd be interested in stitching a small, because I really wanted more smalls in my life. Probably won't make a pillow out of it, but this is the pattern. It is a Janette Douglas, like I said. Oh, the name of her channel is called Rustic Threads Stitching. And she's on IG as well, but you can find her on YouTube. But she started that hashtag and sent me what it is they send the floss, the pattern, as well as the fabric if you think you're going to stitch it. And then when you're done, you find someone that is also interested in stitching it when you're done, and send them all those pieces for them to continue the hashtag and just share the love. So I thought you know, that's kind of what this community is for me. I've enjoyed getting to know so many of you, and just watching how you stitch has really helped. So I thought, why not get a stitch out of it as well as share it with someone else, because that's, I mean, that's the community part of it, and it spoke to me. So these are the flosses. I'm sitting here playing with them, but it's called Tulip Mini Bouquet, and I've started it. I'm going to have to get really close for you to see, because the white stitching is very hard to see. I'm going to take it off of this grime guard so that you can see it better. It is a 40 count, so it is hard for me to see, so that's why I haven't gotten too far on it. But goal would be maybe by the end of the year, so that next spring I'll have this piece to actually frame and have out in my decor. But I started down here on the border. Let me see what you're seeing here. Sorry that the lighting is, I'm going to go down with my camera, see if that helps. Just a little bit, yeah. It might help a little if I get up really close. There it is. So I started over here in this corner here, and then I came down and around, and then all the way back up here. After a bit, you know, you get tired of doing the same thing over, so I decided, well, let me count over and do some flowers, and then I triple counted just to make sure I was in the right spot over here. So those are just the starts of the flowers on this piece, but I would like to keep going, put it back on my stand. I found a really neat gadget talking with some people on Discord. The Needlebug has a Discord. Karen is her name. But I guess I could unwind it here so you can see. Pull it off my little table. And I'll put it back in a minute, but it is just a little gadget. Might have to turn on the light here. It's getting dark here in Texas. Let's go up a little just so that you can see, and maybe change it to that. I don't know if you can see this. It looks like a contraption, but the clip that I have is on a table behind over here on this side. But it just slides into that, and you tighten it up. And what I like about it is, if you're sitting next to the table, you can bend it and tighten these at different angles, and they're perfect for putting your Q-snap in. You just hold it, and like I said, this tightens here as well as here. You can go as tight as whatever frame you're using. Some of the little rods would fit on here as well. It tightens over on this side. So I can link where I got it on Amazon, I think. They shared the link on that Discord, so I can share that also if anybody's interested. I got this one on the side. The pack comes with 2 clips. So if you want it real still, you can have your frame. I think I'm going the wrong way. Can't see what it's doing. Oh, yeah, it's closing. So I put it on with Velcro, but once you put your frame in here and line it up, it'll hold it straight and be right in front of you when you're stitching. So I thought that was a neat little extra stand if you have a table that you're looking to keep next to your stitching area. So I'm looking forward to finding a spot either in here or in my new craft room where I can just pull up a chair and do some stitching with that. It might also work for if people, you know, you like to do stitch with me's or have your phone hang from it so that they can see your actual stitching. So I haven't figured all that out yet, but I will. So those are the 2 projects anyways that I plan to continue with. The third one is this one, of course. It's one of my one that is the most close to a finish. I finished my kitty a couple, maybe a month or 2 ago, but that was just a small. So this is the next biggest one that I have that's close to a finish. So I still have the roof to do, and I finished the words. I want to put a couple cardinals up at the top Redbirds, because this stitch was started as a memory piece for one of the Flosstubers that had passed away, lost in floss. So I need Christmas pieces also, so it's a good reminder when it's cold outside, and then when you think of those that have passed. I wanted to kind of go along with that. It was a stitch along that everybody was doing in memory of that, so it will be fun to have this as a finish, and also just to remember those that kind of encourage us in our craft. So that is a Beth Twist, a pattern, and it's also a 14 count. I think it's Toast is the pattern for that one. I put away my wipgos, but I'm also shared the wipgos for this month. Stitch Sisters was a free pattern that I'll be working on, so that's 3. Well, that's 4 actually that I've shared. So between those 4 patterns, and I'm still loving this one also. It was a freebie on Hello from Liz Matthews newsletter that she puts out. It's called Love. But I'm getting a little more done on that. Get that off of there. Got the heart filled in and the borders done, so it's just basically filling it in and finishing up the heart. So that's getting a little closer. It's an easy stitch. It's a 14 count also, but she doesn't give you colors. You just choose, and it was an anniversary start for me in 2020, so it's taken me a little while, but I'm using DMCs and light effects from DMC. But like I said, the pattern name is Love. If you get her newsletters, then you'll be able to get that. I don't want to share it because, I think you should, have to go look for it if you really want it. You'll enjoy her newsletters. They're very, very good, and the patterns that she makes are really, they speak to me every time I see one. I see one today. I think it's called Forget Me Not, but I was thinking about getting that one because it's just a nice spring one also to do. So I'll be working on that. And see, I stick things in my bags. I don't know if you all do this or not, but my little project bags that I have, like I said, with my scissors, they go missing. Well, my eyeglass case is just now missing in this bag, and then my floss drops that I was using or needing for one of the ones that I'm going to kit up. So I'm finding a lot of things today. Other than that, my little basket, this is kind of what I do, is I keep it, just a little tote that I can carry back and forth from here when I'm recording with you to my stitchy spot. But a few things in here I need to put away, like last month's projects haven't gotten put away yet. That will be set aside. And then my new ones, like I said, Stitch Sisters. And then I couldn't really share the whole thing on my last Flosstube because I was in the living room on the couch and the camera wasn't set properly, so I thought I would bring this back out just to share with you the actual size of it and how it looks. A lot of the stitching was done in the 1980s, so hopefully the lighting is bright enough. It is a stamped piece. I guess I should show you the pattern front. Might be helpful. It is a Paragon Candlewick, so it really interested me because it's something I would hang up in my house. It says God bless our home, and you can probably see all of the French knots that are on here. Get up a little closer here. So it really spoke to me, and the house, of course, anything with a house I'm attracted to. And my husband was asking me a while back, and even when I started it, how long will it take you to do something like that? And sad to say we're in the 2000s now and it's still not done, but it's getting there. So when I started wipgo, I decided to pull it back out, even though it's a stamped one and not a counted cross stitch. So a few of the ones, I mean, I'm very pleased with the way it looked when I did it, but I got to relearn satin stitch. So if anybody has any tips, I've got books too that I can look at to make sure I'm doing it right. But when I started back 3 years ago, you can probably see in the U here in these stitches, they're just not as neatly done or tightly done, I guess, as the O. So I'll probably be pulling out most of that. And for wipgo, I've got a goal of finishing a letter, so hopefully I can get the U. You can probably see I enjoyed doing the French knots after however many years it's been. Some of them are looking looser, but I don't think I'll pull them out. I'll just keep continuing on and doing those. I did a lot of the vines and some of the house down here. The tree. I've got some, I guess those are called Lazy Susans maybe? Or I think that's their name. But I think I used the wrong thread over here now that I'm looking at it. Or either this is the wrong one, I'll have to look at the pattern. But maybe they're called Lazy Daisies now that I think about it. So I think I could just pull out my book to figure out how to do those stitches again. And then there's just some X's that need to be done for the trees. And some more Lazy Daisies. Or maybe those aren't Lazy Daisies, but I'll look and see. So home needs to be done as well as the O, or the U and the R on Bless Our Home. So I'm real happy with it, but I do want to get it back. And if you're wondering what this is here, when I got back into cross stitch 3 years ago, I heard about the tape that you can use on your fabric. I put it on this one and I kind of regret doing it now. I need to actually use my serger on these edges, but the stand that I have has those scroll bars that these Velcro to, which keeps this nice and taut, but hopefully when I pull this off it won't be too sticky when I go to frame it. That's kind of what I'm worried about, so we will see, but that is the plan for it. My back when I used to do this looks awful. Not a lot of people share their backs, but I probably was just learning with this kind of a piece. But I am enjoying it, and this is one that I will finish and put in my home. So those are my 2 wipgo pieces that I'll continue working on this month, as well as the 1, 2, 3, 4 other pieces that I just keep on their frames because I like to just have something to either take with me if I'm going out to the lake, or that I know won't bother me with my eyesight. Other than that, I think I shared in my last video that I've been taking these page protectors for my patterns and putting my patterns that are printed in these and then putting them in the notebooks that I've started. There's quite a few down there, but I'm trying to get them organized to where I know what's in them and I'm not searching even with my sewing patterns. So I found these Avery, I guess they're called numbered dividers, but they're extra wide, so that if I showed you a notebook, let me see if I can grab one really quick. Let's just grab this guy here. So this one doesn't have, this is one of my quilting books. Kind of show you what I was struggling with. And if anybody has ideas of how they do their pattern storage, please comment below on what you do. But if you look in the notebook, you can't see the dividers that are in here because the page protectors cover them up. With these particular dividers, they will stick out so that I can have like a table of contents and write down what's in one, what's in two. I think the only thing that I might be is buying several more of these, because I have several books down there. I think I have more than 8 books, and I only bought a pack of 8. So they come in packs of 4, so I bought 2, which gave me a set of 8, which will give me 80 patterns to label, but I know I have way more than 80 patterns over there on my bookshelf. So that's all that organizing that I had mentioned in my previous Flosstubes that I have been doing and wanting to get done, so that when I get moved and in my new craft room, all that is done and I don't have to wonder where my patterns are. I do store my cross stitch patterns by designer in like a file system that I've shared in the past, but sometimes there's patterns that you print off from a designer like Priscilla and Chelsea, or who was the other one I mentioned? Hello from Liz Matthews. Ones that are freebies that you want to print and you have. So to protect them, like I said, I put them in the sleeve protectors, and then I want to know where they're at, and so I will organize them with those extra wide dividers. So that's still in process, but it's coming along. But I do want to be able to finish some projects before we actually move. And like I said, I want to rethink my wipgo board and only do projects that I know I'm going to either gift or, being a decorator, have for my seasonal decorating. So a lot of the things on my wipgo board are going to probably change, like I said, in August. So other than that, I think that's what I wanted to share today. It's not a very long one, but it was timely, and it was only a week ago that I was here. So I was thinking, I'd come on every couple weeks, and then I said a month when I first started. So things change, but I'm hoping, like, whenever I feel like I have something worth sharing, that you'll all come back and watch. So I appreciate your time, and again, this is Richter Stitcher, and hope everyone had a wonderful holiday on the 4th. And in most of my Flosstubes, I do want to be able to not spend too much time sharing life updates, because not a lot of people are interested in that. So I will just tag on the end, like I did last week with my craft tour. If there's things that I want to share, I'll just put those in picture form and, put the subtitles underneath. That way, if you're not interested, you can just watch the stitching part. But I am very grateful for this community, and I appreciate you guys always coming back and commenting. And we will talk to you hopefully mid-month. But like I said, just anytime I feel like I want to come on and share, I'm grateful that you guys are always there. So have a good night. Real quick, I wanted to come back. I forgot to mention one of the projects that I found in the last week, maybe week and a half. But I was able to, I forget who I was watching, Sweetwater Stitcher. I can't remember her first name, if it's Angie. No, I forget her first name, but I'll link it below. She does a lot of finishes, and she shared a Needleworks designer, Jennifer Shavers from Screendoor Needleworks, on her Flosstube that caught my attention, because she mentioned that she had a new pattern, or that I guess she was at StitchCon and some people were doing one of her Texas patterns, and I live in Texas, so I went ahead and purchased that. They're very inexpensive patterns, $5 I think is what this costed. But I went on her IG and found her page from Sweetwater Stitcher and decided to kit this up. I'll share it here in a second with the colors that I have. I didn't mention, I'm getting low on a lot of my flosses because I've been kitting things up since May, and my wall is getting kind of bare. I have quite a few Krienks down there, so I've been pulling those for colors when it kind of matches in the pattern, as well as I've been collecting my NPI silks. So just depending on the pattern, what I want it to look like. I don't want to use silk a lot, so I go through my classic Colorworks and Weeks Dye Works and try to match the colors as close as possible, because I've been using up my DMC with all the kit mania that I've been doing. So for this one, I came across a few Gentle Arts Flosses and Weeks Dye Works and several Krienks, and I think there's only one NPI. But I wanted to share with you those colors. This is the pattern. Hope you can see that. Like I said earlier, I don't have a lot of 4th of July pieces completed, so I kitted up several, I think 2 or 3, maybe even 4. Land That I Love, and then this one, and then in Kit Mania I think there was a couple patriotic ones. But I really like the way this looks with the blue bonnets. I don't know if you can see it in the blue. I get really close. It's like almost like a flower. And some people might say it's a snowflake look to it, but it's a little bit different, darker blue color. So the called for colors, I think my card should be here. Let me see. I thought I wrote it down. Yes, I did. Here we go. I can share with you what I went with instead of what they called for. I made quite a few subs actually. It looks like I've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different subs. I had the Cupid color, so that was, I think that's what that's called. Actually no, I didn't have the Cupid. So I looked for, I didn't write down what my subs were. Same with, Honeycomb and Cupid, so I actually have more subs than I thought. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 different subs, because actually 8 different subs. I think I only had one color, Michael's Navy, or Mikhail's Navy. That was the only one out of all these colors that I actually had in my stash. So I went ahead and just looked up what colors that she called for and got as close to the picture color. So let me grab what I'm thinking about doing, and like I said earlier, I'd like to use the called for count, and for this pattern is actually a 28 count. So I did have a couple 28 counts in my stash, but when you look at this color, you can probably see it's real splotchy and got the dark splotches compared to what this picture shows. It's more of a goldy yellow kind of a look. So I want to try and get close to that color if I can, because I like the way that looks like wheat grass. You know, a southern look to it. So I don't think I will use this Mountain Air Egyptian Sand is what that one's called. And the modeling is just too dark for me. I'm not crazy about it, so I might not go with the 28 count. This is also a 28 count, but it is, oops, I just dropped it. It's an Evenweave. It's called tea-dyed, which is actually what they said the pattern should be, as a tea-dyed. But it's an Irish linen, and it still doesn't quite get the color. It's closer, but I don't know if you can see that. Actually, it doesn't look too bad on the camera now that I'm looking at it. So I thought I'd get your opinions out of the ones that I'm showing. I've got one more, but the next one is changing the count, so I'm not sure what that'll do to the size. I wouldn't mind putting this on a mat, but this one is a, picture this plus doubloon, but it's a 14 count, which I think is really the closest to the modeling and the color with the picture. So I might just have to give in and do a 14 count on this instead of the 28 count. Not really good when it comes to math and figuring out. I guess it would be the same size, because 28 count you would go over 2 or over 1. I get so confused. So, but I did want to share the 3 different colors that I'm looking at choosing from, and then of course putting the colors on there, what it looks like. I mean, what do they call that, a floss toss? I'll share the names of the colors that I chose here in a second. Actually, I think yeah, it was either 1 or 2 colors that I actually had that was according to it. So let's see if I can get this in the camera. Those are the colors. I've got more than that is needed on here because I'm still making up my mind, like on the reds. I've got 2 reds here. These are Krienks, and it's just more of a Christmas red. And when you look at the pattern, the red on here is really a darker red. So it does require 2 skeins, and that's what I had of that red. So not sure. I mean, I prefer the darker, which would be the color that I had was Candy Apple. That's a lot darker than this one, and more of a Texas red. To me, I don't know if you can see the differences, but yeah. I'm not sure if this one would be enough, and then if I was to go look for this particular Candied Apple, would it be the same dye lot? I'm not sure. So I guess I just have to stitch it and see how much of the red is needed before I decide. So those were the red choices that I had. For that darker blue I mentioned, I changed that out because I didn't have the called for is Chesapeake Bay, and they say on here the darker blue for the Quaker stars is what they're calling those. They're not flowers or snowflakes, they're stars. It called for a lighter blue so that they would stand out. So compared to the other blues that I'm using, I went with the deep sea for Gentle Arts on that color. So that one was pretty much, my mind's made up on that, which I'm liking. The next color was a Honeycomb, which I did not have, which is more of a gold color. So if you look, if I put it on this 14 count, there's more of pinks and things in this one, which is called Mimosa, which I'm not crazy about, the pink. And when you look, the gold's going to be used for the words, God bless. And it kind of looks like almost a honey gold. So my goal was to match that as close as possible. And I found what I think I'm most likely going to go with, but I wanted to get your opinion. It's called Buttercrunch. It's got the more goldy yellow into it. in the picture it kind of looked orange, but I don't know, has anybody ever maybe taken a strand from one and another strand from another and mixed them? I thought about that too, but right now I'm kind of leaning towards Buttercrunch for the honeycomb, which would be the words. The next color is the brighter or darker blue. So these would be the two blues that McHale's Navy is the name of it, and that's what this one is. So I had that already. So I will definitely use the McHale's Navy, and that is, I'm pretty sure, if I look here without showing the pattern, yeah, it's going to be the blues on the edges around these Quaker stars. So I think that will be good. It's a darker blue, and then this other blue that I mentioned, Deep Sea, will be the actual Quaker stars. So I think if you look at the cloth, you'll be able to really distinguish the Quaker stars on that fabric. So that's kind of why I'm leaning towards the 14 count, because of the colors basically, since I'm changing them up a little. The next color was grits, it called for, and I didn't have any. I'd probably do in another pattern somewhere, but I don't like to pull them from other patterns if I can help it, so I went and found what the grits will be. This white part here in the top part of the Texas. So it is a silk. I went with the NPI white silk, but that's really the closest that I had that's not being used elsewhere. So that's why I chose that one. I guess I had two, like I said, they call for blue coat blue, so I had McHale's Navy and blue coat blue. And that's going to be the blues that are in the lighter ones in here mixed in with the blue bonnets, so I'll be able to keep that same color, and I like it on that 14 count as well. The other color that I did have to sub is Hunter, which is the green part of the stems. Didn't have that, so I went as close as possible and thought this green pasture kind of looks viney, so I thought that would be my stems. Definitely will have plenty of that to use. And then now we're getting into the next color called Blue Bonnet, which I did not have. Making sure I'm looking at this right. Yeah, I had the blue coat blue, and I did Hunter, and I did grits, so yeah. The next is the Blue Bonnet, which I did not have, and I had two choices for that, and was thinking, since it needed to be a brighter blue, my two choices, and it is the actual color of the blue bonnets, were these two blues, either Blue Jay or my Krienk, which is a silk. Hope I'm in camera here. But when I look at the picture, it's pretty much a done deal when you look at it. The blue bonnets are a really bright blue. Gotta get close so you can see. So I've pretty much made my mind up. I'll probably just take this one off and re-put it into my stash. But Blue Jays isn't bright enough for me, so I'll take that off. But this blue for Krienk is, and it really looks like a blue bonnet color, so I'll probably stick with that one. And then I needed a periwinkle. I had another choice of blue jeans for a blue, but it's just too dull, so Those two I'll actually take off my rings and put those away since I won't need them. So I think there's only 10 colors. Right now my ring will get a little less. So that's the other blue that I said I'll use. The periwinkle that they have, I did not have, so I looked to see what would be closest to that from the picture. I'm hoping this picture is doing it justice. But if you look into the bluebell, or blue bonnet, you'll see kind of a purpley mixed in with the other blues. So it's the really light blue. I hope that's coming out. But I found one called Betty Bluebell, which has a little bit of the purple in it, but it's also, of course on camera it looks real purple, but it's really not that purple. There's a hint, more hints of lighter blues in there. Almost really pale blue. So I think since it's only used a little bit, it will be okay for the periwinkle. And then the very top of the blue bonnet has what they're going to be using as icicle. Kind of looks like a white, not quite a grits. See if I can get up close. And I think that also the, not sure if the Quaker star is the periwinkle on the pattern or not. I'll have to look. I think it's just the top of the blue bonnet. But I had a Krienk that kind of looked almost icically, and think that will be a good match for that. So, would love to hear your opinions. Like I said, between the reds, I'm really leaning towards this darker one. And then with the honeycomb for the words, I'm leaning towards Buttercrunch. And with the blue for the blue bonnet, I'm really leaning towards the Krienk blue. I think my choice for hunter green was good, and the Empire silk for the white. But the really big question is, should I stick with the 28 count or the 14? These are the colors with the 14. Actually, a couple of these blues we're not using, I said. If I can get those out of the way, it would be these two here that we're not using. But all these other colors are in the pattern that I'm planning on using. So I also posted a picture on IG, but wondering, you know, what colors do you all think would go best with either this 14 count? And like I said, I think I've pretty much given up on the Egyptian sand because of the modeling. It's just too dark and too much for me. Or if I should use between the 14 count or this Evenweave 28 count. Is also a bright, but it's more of a beigey compared to the picture this plus piece. And there's really no modeling in the 28 count like there is in the 14. I bought this on, I think it was a IG, where you, not Bestitch Me, where you, me please, and that's how I got this piece, or I'm pretty sure, or it might have been an Etsy shop. But either way, this is kind of what I'm leaning towards. Thought I'd see what your opinions were. So that's what I forgot to share. It's one of the patterns that I do plan on starting, because it is a red, white, and blue, and that's kind of what our decor might be in the new place, more towards the patriotic out in the country of Texas. So I appreciate your opinions, and just go ahead and comment below what your thoughts are. It really does help me make my decisions, and I have this community to share it with. So again, I appreciate you watching, and we will talk to you again soon.